everyone comes to the park, whether you're there as an athlete or a runner, whether you're there just to enjoy an event. It's something that is really central to our community, and I am such a fan of Sugar House Park and all of the open spaces that we have in District 7.
A few moments later.
So favorite book is Phantom Tollbooth, which is a book that a teacher read to me as a 4th grade student that I then chose to bring home and read to my little brother. And my very first year of being a teacher, my now adult brother gifted that back to me to make sure that I had it in my classroom for kids. It just is a book that has always resonated with me in terms of curiosity and also thinking beyond the normal. Ooh, favorite movie. I'm gonna have to go with Goodfellas. So how can you not choose Ray Liotta? So I think for one of the things that's always interesting to me is movies that are about communities. In this case, an illegal kind of community is the focus, but I am always interested in those relationships and how they're portrayed on screen. So I'm gonna have to go with Bruno Mars, and I'm gonna harken back to maybe a little more vintage Bruno Mars. When he performed at the Super Bowl, I just could not be more joyous in the way that he approaches music and the way that he sings. And I love that it's something that I can listen to, my son can listen to, and my parents can listen to, and we all feel the same joy and enthusiasm that he brings to music. So if I have to choose favorite food, definitely going with cereal, definitely going with Cheerios. I am not good in the kitchen. I've tried my very best, and for some reason, me and recipes, we just disagree. But cereal's hard to mess up, and when you talk about my favorite cereal, it's gotta be Cheerios because it tastes like cardboard, which is a deterrent to some, but for some reason makes me love it that much more.
Don't you just hate it when you're trying to dig out a cellar in your new house and run into a petrified animal skull? Well, that's what happened to former Mayor Robert Baskin in 1871. In this week's History Minute, we take a look at Baskin's muskox and a time when the Salt Lake Valley was just Lake Bonneville.
From the discovery of the Utah raptor, the largest raptor on record, to a 94-million-year-old Mosasaurus skull, the oldest on record, paleontology has had a long and storied history in the state, with unexpected origins in downtown Salt Lake City. In 1871, 25 years before statehood, one of Utah's first documented Ice Age fossils was unearthed in the basement of then future mayor of Salt Lake City, Robert N. Baskin's basement, just north of Temple Square. The fossilized skull fragment, originally reported by local papers as a petrified buffalo head, was later determined by educator and naturalist Paul A. Chadbourne to be that of a long-extinct species of musk ox, the Butherium bombifons. Along with saber-toothed cats, woolly mammoths, and flat-faced bears, this ancient musk ox inhabited the vast shorelines of Lake Bonneville during the planet's last ice age. At a time when theories of our planet's history were rapidly evolving, the discovery of Baskin's musk ox skull provided an invaluable window into the conditions and climate of the area over 10,000 years ago. While several hundred Ice Age mammal fossils have been discovered in the Salt Lake metro area, helping piece together the natural history of this place, it was Baskin's musk ox skull that started it all. The fossil now rests at the Natural History Museum of Utah, where it was transferred in 1978.
That's it for another episode of Capital City News. Remember, the best way to stay engaged is to stay informed. You can do that by following us on social media at SLC Gov, tuning into Channel 17, or subscribing to us on YouTube. Reporting in from the City Council Workroom, I'm Yusuf Malin. Hey everyone, welcome to a special edition of Capital City News. We're here in front of City Hall. There's a helicopter above me for some reason, and it's freezing. We've got this week a major mayor announcement, an interesting history minute, but first, our look backs and our look aheads.
In Salt Lake City, we believe in access and inclusion for every person who lives in or visits our city. To that end, we've partnered with a visual interpreting service to assist blind and low vision residents and visitors in navigating the visual world around them. With a download of the Aira app, available on Android or iOS, a live trained visual interpreter will be your visual assistant for whatever you need for as long as you need for free in city-sponsored service areas. So whether you're ordering drinks, meeting your ride, or checking out an event in Liberty Park, Salt Lake City aims to make it all the more efficient, more enjoyable, and more accessible to everyone.
On behalf of the Future Host Commission, I would like to tell you a little bit more about the decision today. The Executive Board today followed the recommendation of the Future Host Commission to invite the French Alps and Salt Lake City, Utah, into respective targeted dialogues to host the Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games 2030 and 2034.
Okay guys, Capital City News here. Right here in front of City Hall, we've got some exciting news and we'll be able to get some comments from the mayor. Follow me.
We're ready. We've been living in, loving, and taking care of our Olympic venues and our legacy for 20 years. It's part of who we are. It's really in the DNA of us as Salt Lakers and as Utahns. And because of all of that, we have 82% support in the state of Utah to host the World again. It's unmatched across the world. And our venues, we're excited. We're ready to host. We're going to be down there today with kids who are coming after school to practice and learn these sports. What it means for kids in the state of Utah.
this meeting of the Salt Lake City Council. We are happy to have you here, whether you're joining us in person or online, and we hope that you will continue to participate in whichever manner you feel most comfortable. So we will start this meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance as usual, so if you'll join me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you again. Before we move on through our agenda items, I will explain our updated general comment registration process and remind everybody about the rules of decorum for our council meetings. Individuals may register to give public comment on a scheduled public item until the hearing for that item is closed. For the general comment section, we will accept sign-ins up until 7:30 p.m. On this agenda, we will be adopting a change that limits our general comment section to a total period of 1 hour for general public comments. So this does not apply to public comments that are noticed and noticed on the agenda and dedicated. That's a separate hearing. If you're here to give general comments, not everyone who signed up may be able to speak. Our meeting rules are designed so that we can conduct city business to ensure everyone is treated with civility and feels safe to participate regardless of their viewpoint. The following rules help us maintain a safe and welcoming environment where everybody feels comfortable sharing their opinions and views with the council. To keep our reactions from affecting your ability to share your opinion freely, council members refrain from reacting or responding and sharing their opinions during the public comment period. When making comments, please address the body as a whole and do not direct your comments to individual elected officials. Council staff is available during or after the meeting to help with any questions or information sharing. Please avoid the use of threatening or discriminatory language. Do not insult others based on religion, ethnicity, race, color, gender, sexual orientation, or physical ability. Whether you agree or disagree with someone's comment, please refrain from clapping, jeering, shouting, booing, snapping, gesturing, obstructing, or discouraging others from commenting. The full meeting rules are listed at the door, and our staff will post a link in the Zoom for anyone joining remotely. Okay, so this brings us to item A4, which is that the council will consider adopting a joint ceremonial resolution with Mayor Mendenhall recognizing March as National Women's History Month in Salt Lake City. I will turn to Councilmember Sarah Young to read the resolution.
Thank you. The joint resolution honoring Women's History Month. Whereas Women's History Month, celebrated annually in March, honors the invaluable contributions and achievements of women throughout history and in contemporary society. And whereas Women's History Month provides an opportunity to recognize and commemorate the countless women who have made significant strides in various fields. And whereas Salt Lake City acknowledges the indispensable role that women have played in shaping the cultural, economic, and social fabric of our community, contributing to its growth, diversity, and resilience. And whereas Salt Lake City recognizes the importance of promoting gender equality to ensure a more just and equitable society for all. And whereas the theme of Women's History Month 2024, celebrating women's contributions to equity and inclusion, highlights the achievements of women who have worked tirelessly to promote fairness, diversity, and inclusion in their communities and beyond. And whereas Women's History Month serves as a celebration of the progress made in advancing women's rights and a reminder of the ongoing work needed to address the challenges and barriers that women still face today. And whereas Salt Lake City is committed to fostering an inclusive and supportive environment where women are valued, respected, and provided with equal opportunities to thrive. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Salt Lake City Council and Mayor of Salt Lake City hereby honors and recognizes Women's History Month 2024 with the theme Celebrating Women's Contributions to Equity and Inclusion, and encourages all residents to participate in activities and events that celebrate the achievements and contributions of women in Salt Lake City and beyond. And be it further resolved that Salt Lake City reaffirms its dedication to advancing gender equality and promoting the empowerment of women and girls in all aspects of life, pledging to continue working towards a more inclusive and equitable society for future generations.
Thank you, Councilmember Young. I will look for a motion.
I move that we accept the resolution.
Adopt.
Second.
Yes. I have a motion to adopt the resolution from Councilmember Petro, a second from Councilmember Young. Is there any discussion to this motion? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and proceed to a vote. All in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Abstentions? All right, that passes unanimously with Councilmember Lopez Chavez present and Councilmember Mono, absent, and Councilmember Mono absent, and Councilmember Pui joining us remotely.
Chair,
Yes.
if I may have a moment of personal privilege.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. So I appreciate the opportunity to have read the resolution tonight, and just want to follow with the following thanks. I'm proud to be surrounded by amazing women, including my sisters, my mother, my aunts, my grandmothers. I'm proud to serve multiple women that lead our Utah K-12 schools across the state. These women consistently set an example of excellence, altruism, and respect for me and the individuals they lead. I am grateful to all of them for their dedication in paving the way for individuals such as myself who have come after them and benefit from their leadership and mentorship in those roles. In conclusion, I'd like to end my personal privilege with just a brief moment of thanks to my fellow council members, Councilmember Lopez Chavez and Councilmember Petro. I am incredibly proud to serve with you women and appreciate the opportunity to learn and grow from you and the excellence that you bring to serving this city. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Young. Any other points of personal privilege? Okay, great, thank you so much. This brings us to the public hearing section of our agenda for specifically noticed items on the public hearing, specific proposals that the council is required by statute to hold a public hearing on. If you would like to comment on these public hearing items, we are accepting comments in person and online on Zoom. You can sign up to comment until the hearing is closed. If you need to speak with our staff, please raise your hand in the room or in Zoom, and a staff person will assist you. For those of you on Zoom, our staff person, Scott Corpney, can assist you with registration issues or technical questions. Isaac Canedo, our staff member for the council, will be calling those who wish to comment based on the order we receive the names. If you are in Zoom, please unmute your mic when Isaac calls your name. Each person will have 2 minutes, and we will call on each person who has signed up to speak. Just as a reminder, our goal is to create and keep a safe space for everyone to share and participate in the meeting, so please follow our public comment rules when making your remarks. Disruptions or threats to anyone's safety are not allowed. If anyone uses discriminatory language, curses, or a disruption occurs, we will pause your comments and remind you about the rules before we continue. Our first public item, our first public hearing item is for grant application items B1 through B6, which will be heard as one public hearing. Before we begin taking comments, I will first turn the time to Sylvia Richards from council staff to give us a short policy introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Periodically, the city applies for and receives grants which help to support and fund some city programs. Each grant application is reviewed and then receives a public hearing, which gives the public an opportunity to comment on them. Tonight, as mentioned, there are 6 grants. First is the Wetlands Protection and/or Restoration Project, Rudy Drainage Property Acquisition and Enhancement Grant, which would fund the purchase of up to 200 acres of undeveloped land currently zoned for business park development located adjacent to Great Salt Lake wetlands. Funding could also be used to develop a long-term management plan for the property. Second, reconstruction of 13th East from 2100 South to the southern city boundary, Surface Transportation Program grant, which would fund the street reconstruction, including pavement replacement, curb and gutter, and pedestrian bicycle improvements. Third is the 2024 Rocky Mountain High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Salt Lake Metro Narcotics Task Force grant, which would fund salary and benefits for 2 existing FTEs, as well as overtime for outside agencies that participate in the task force. Fourth is the 2024 Annual Formula Per Capita Grant, Bureau of Medical Services, State of Utah, which would provide funding for medical supplies for the fire department. Fifth is the Utah Children's Outdoor Recreation and Education Grant, Park Rangers Educational Programming Supplies budget, which would supplement the Park Rangers Educational Programming Supplies budget to involve more youth in outdoor spaces in their communities. Sixth and last is the First Responder Grant, Marathon Community Investment Programs, Flammable Gases Flaring System, which would fund the purchase of a flammable gases flaring system to address propane leaks when the leak gas can't be addressed otherwise. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Sylvia. All right, Isak, let's go ahead and start with our first public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have Cindy Cromer in person speaking for this item.
My name is Cindy Cromer, and I'm speaking about the grant application for the Rudy Drain. You may already know that Laura Briefer is amazing. You may not know that her employee, Holly Lopez, got this application to the starting gate in fine shape in short order. Then 2 teams of experts ranked it, second highest in the amount of funding. It was actually close to a tie for first place. The potential for education, recreation, and the protection of water at this site is huge. Last year, I was advised not to talk about the location, but really, it's so obvious what needs to be done and where the location is. My deep appreciation to Laura and Holly for getting us this far. Thank you very much.
There is no one else here to speak to that item.
Okay. Anybody else wishing to speak to the grant items specifically? Yes. Go ahead and come up to the podium, and then if you'll fill out a comment card after.
So that's why.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, no
well,
problem.
I'm glad that
I'll make sure I wrote the right thing on there. I thought Jennifer, I put grants.
Thanks.
Throwing Jennifer under the bus.
Glad you
Eric
raised your
McGill,
hand.
thank you all for being here. Eric McGill, resident of Highland Park, Sugar House area. The bird dude, so the preservation of some of our precious wetlands out there, and with the horrible development pressure is incredible. And I'm an environmental educator, so I love seeing that the park rangers will expand their programs and would love to collaborate with that. My main item I wanted to speak on, the grant, was the 13th East. My property on Alden Street backs up to 13th East, and we've sort of, my partner and I have adopted that stretch, cleaning up garbage and sweeping out the gutters and things constantly. There was a meeting at Highland Park about a year ago, last fall, that showed the plans, but then the project was sort of sidelined for another year. If we're getting more funding and with the extra year, I would love transportation to come back with, get some input from us residents and some improvements that could take place. The city owns a lot of buffers off to the side of that road. And there were some things in their plan at that time that were a little up in the air. So Lynn Jacobs is great. I didn't see him here tonight, but we'll reach out to him as well. But if we could somehow get the city to come back and get some feedback and come back with, since we have this extra year, it got put on hold with the 21st South and everything, we would appreciate that. And thank you for letting us speak.
Thank you. Anybody else who wants to speak to any of these budget items? Okay. Then we will go ahead and move on to...
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I move that the council close the public hearing and refer items B1 and through B6 to a future consent agenda for action.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion from Councilmember Dugan, a second from Councilmember Young. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? All right, that passes unanimously. Let's see, that brings us to our next hearing item, which is number B7. This is a zoning text amendment for daycare facilities. Before we start taking public comments on this item, I'll turn the time over to Brian Fulmer, Council Staff Policy Analyst, to give us a short introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a proposal from the administration to amend requirements in city code related to daycare facilities. The request is to reduce barriers in the zoning ordinance to new and expanding daycare facilities and help ease effects of the daycare shortage.
Thank you, Brian. Isaac, please start our first public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have William Buwaya here to speak for that, and he is online. If you'll give me just 1 second. William, you may unmute now.
Hello, yes, this is William. Hello, yes, this is William Buwaya, and I'm in great agreement with the last gentleman that spoke on this subject. And I think that we all know already how I feel about doing the best that we can for our kids. I am all for doing anything that we can do to help our families with affordable daycare services that may or may not be affected by this amendment. Let's all try to come together for the children and not submit to the zoning laws just because it's policy. We have the letter of the law and we have the spirit of the law. It's important to use good judgment and wisdom for the overall success of our future, our kids of the great Salt Lake City. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I think we have no one else here to speak to that item unless there's somebody there in person.
Mr. Chair?
Wait, sorry, did I hear someone say Mr. Chair?
That it will be me.
Okay. Yes, Councilmember Pui.
I would like to move that the council close the public hearing and adopt the ordinance.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion from Councilmember Pui to adopt the ordinance, a second from Councilmember Dugan. Is there any discussion to this item? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. And any abstentions? Okay, that passes unanimously. Our next public hearing item is B8, which is for an ordinance amending the zoning map and general plan amendments at approximately 2445 South, 500 East, or Woodland Commons. Before we start taking public comments, I'll turn the time to Brian Fulmer from City Council Policy Staff to give us a short introduction.
This is a proposal to amend the zoning and future land use maps for the property you mentioned in District 7 from R1 7000, which is single-family residential, to RMF 35, or moderate density multifamily residential. The applicant's stated intent is to construct market rate for sale townhomes on the site.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. Isak, please start our first public comment.
There's no one here to speak to that item.
Okay, is there anybody in person that wants to speak to item B8? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council close the public hearing and defer action to a future council meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Dugan, a second from Councilmember Petro. Is there any discussion to this? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. And any abstentions? Okay, that passes unanimously. Let's go to item B9, which is an ordinance for the Yellcrest Laird Heights Local Historic District. Before we begin taking comments on this item, I will turn the time over to Brian Fulmer from council staff to give us a short introduction.
This proposal would create the Yellcrest Laird Heights Local Historic District on Laird Avenue between 1300 East and 1500 East, including Laird Circle and Uinta Circle. A council briefing, which was held February 6th of this year, tonight's public hearing, and a council vote at a future date are the final steps to create a new local historic district.
Thank you, Brian. I'll turn the time to Isaac for our first public comment.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. First, we will have Janet Hemming. Janet is here online, followed by Cindy Cromer here in person, and then Antoine Romney here online. Janet, you may now unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you, council members. I'm speaking on behalf of the Yellcrest Neighborhood Council. We enthusiastically support this LHD application and appreciate all who've worked so tirelessly on this. I believe this designation will add something positive to benefit Yellcrest and the entire city. I want to thank the council for taking a deep and sincere interest in this application and meeting with residents to understand why it's so important to them. We know you have very busy schedules, and we appreciate the time you've taken to listen and learn. Lastly, I speak for many in our community who would like to see other neighborhoods receive an LHD designation. In the past, I've talked with Bill Davis, Chair in Liberty Wells, as well as recently with Kevin Park and Rose Park. And we stand ready to assist other communities in receiving recognition for their historical properties. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we will have Cindy Cromer. Cindy Cromer is here in person.
At your work session on February the 6th, you did not focus on the Planning Commission's ill-conceived advice.
Sorry. Let me stop. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So sorry, that was my fault.
No problem.
That's okay. Isaac.
Thanks, Isaac.
So at your work session on the February the 6th, you did not focus on the Planning Commission's ill-conceived advice, to my great relief. The Landmarks Commission sent you a unanimous positive recommendation. You did focus on the requirements at your work session for new construction. But in Laird Heights, there are very few non-contributory buildings which represent opportunities for new construction of primary dwellings. And I sent you this afternoon a repeat of some comments, some math that I had sent you previously about how many primary dwellings there are, how many non-contributory structures, how many vacant parcels, and on and on. I see almost no opportunity for new construction in the proposed district except as additions and accessory dwelling units. Even if there were opportunities for new construction in the proposed district, we have fabulous examples of infill in Central City, the Avenues, Capitol Hill, and the University Historic Districts. There's an example of a walking tour that the planning staff put together during the pandemic, showing the infill housing in South Temple, the Avenues, and the University Historic Districts. And since they put together that walking tour, we have the amazing infill at the Regis on 600 East in the Central City Historic District. That's a multiple unit building. These contemporary structures are welcomed and positive additions to their respective historic districts. So looking at the vacant parcels and the non-contributory buildings in the proposed district, I see almost no opportunity for the construction of new primary dwellings in the foreseeable future. That's a good thing because they would be even more expensive than the existing housing. The least unaffordable housing in Laird Heights has already been built. I urge you to adopt this new district. Thank you.
Time. Now we will have Antoine Romney, who's here online, followed by Kathy Cunningham and Dave Nielsen. Antoine, you may now unmute.
Thank you so much. To the councilmen, women, we so greatly appreciate your volunteer time and the efforts that go into your public service and doing what you do. Cleone and I, living at 1368 East Laird, strongly support this motion for the Laird Heights Historic District. As you travel the world, unique and charming places such as Laird Avenue are few and far between. Sycamore trees that have grown for ages, 70, 80, 90 years. We would just hope that the city council will help in our cause to preserve the charm of this area. We are mindful of the housing crisis in Salt Lake City and are anxious to accommodate it. We just wish to hold on to a piece of history and a piece of architecture that is very, very difficult to find elsewhere within the city in terms of just the uniqueness of what is there. So the community has strongly supported this through votes. Cleone and I have listened to the work sessions. We are mindful of our housing shortage and just would ask that the majority vote that has come from this district be recognized and accepted by the city council. Once again, thank you for all the service that all of you do.
Now we will have Kathy Cunningham, who is here in person, followed by Dave Nielsen, and then Rusty Vetter.
Hello, my name is Kathy Cunningham, and I live on Uinta Circle. My neighbors and I will be talking about different aspects of preservation. I'll be talking about our Laird Heights process and the significant majority of the homeowners who support the local historic district. Laird Heights has 66 historic houses and 2 parcels for a total of 68 parcels. The homes were all built in the 1920s and the 1930s. As you walk the neighborhood, you are immersed in a variety of architectural styles, innovative craftsmanship, and unique historical stories. These houses are not static museums. They are homes. Homes with families, homes with multi-generational families. They include duplexes, rental houses, internal ADUs, and apartments. Several homeowners want to build external ADUs. 18 months ago, 8 neighbors organized a committee to pursue a Laird Heights local historic district. We barely knew each other, and we knew only a few of our neighbors, yet we all shared the same love of the place. We quickly learned the city's 12-step local historic district process. In January 2023, we were at step 3, signature gathering. We obtained 45 property owners' signatures to initiate the petition, which meant 66% of the property owners wanted us to proceed and succeed. By November 2023, we were at step 10, public support ballot. Salt Lake City Planning Division mailed 68 ballots to property owners. 58.
Time.
I'm sorry, we can't. You can submit the rest of your comments in writing, and we're happy to receive those. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Next, we will have Dave Nielsen, followed by Rusty Vetter, and then Kim Worthland.
Hi, my name is David Nielsen. I live at 1401 Princeton, adjacent to Laird. I own a property, actually 2 properties on Laird, a rental property for low income. I'll be talking about sustainability. Thompson Mays, Vice President and Senior Counsel at the National Trust for Historic Preservation, states, "The simple act of continuing to use an existing place is one of the most effective things people can do for a more sustainable world." And the United States Park Service website affirms historic preservation is inherently a sustainable practice. The repair and retrofitting of existing and historic buildings is considered by many to be the ultimate recycling project. And focusing on historic buildings has added benefits for the larger community. Traditional materials are generally durable. The continued maintenance of historic buildings and features relies on local craftsmen and rather than replacement parts. And these structures generally make up the heart of our towns and cities. For decades, preservation programs like the Historic Preservation Tax Incentives Program have demonstrated that whole communities can be revitalized by rehabilitation. Using older buildings and houses and making them more energy efficient plays an essential role in meeting our community's needs for sustainability. The first month of my residence in January of 2020, I spent $892 in heating bills. After my laborious 5-year project, the January heating bill was $93. So it can work. Principles are reduce, reuse, and recycle, the 3 R's. I would like to add repair. Sorry, thank you.
Next, we will have Rusty Vetter, followed by Kim Wirthlin, and then Kathy Rich. They are all here in person.
Hi, my name's Rusty Vetter. I am also a resident of the Laird Heights Street. It's 2 blocks, and I want to first say thank you to the council for being willing to consider this overlay. It's become a very important matter for our neighborhood, our community. I also want to thank the sponsors who have brought this forward. They have worked tirelessly to bring this together, knocking door to door, explaining what the concept of the Historic Overlay District is, answering questions, and one of the things that is done, it has strengthened our community. And one of the considerations for the council set forth in the city code is that does this foster civic pride in the history of the city? And I think the process has been great to inform people that, in fact, we now better understand what it is to have historic homes and have the pride in that. And I think that our community will affect the broader Yale-Crest community and the entire city, where people are now better understanding the value of our historic homes. We're really lucky to live on the street that we have, and this process has really brought us all together. So thank you, and we hope that you'll support this request for the overlay district. Thank you.
My name's Kim Wirthlin, and I live on Laird Avenue. I moved into my home in 2005, and I came from a 1910 home in the 9th and 9th area, and it was a 1,200 square foot home, and I moved into Laird, a 2,200 square foot home built in 1930. I love old neighborhoods, and I've especially loved this old neighborhood from the time I was a child. My aunt and uncle lived there, and when we would visit them, I was just enchanted by the old-timey lights and the big trees and the character in the homes. When I bought my home, I was a single professional woman, and I bought my home from a young family who then moved through the block to Princeton. And tonight, I want to talk about affordability. We can do better at creating equitable access in all of our neighborhoods in the city. And one of the ways to do that is local historic districts. They help us do it by stopping the tearing down of small homes like mine, which have become targets for house hunters looking for investment properties, not homes. We've watched as 67 historic homes have been demolished and then rebuilt with oversized homes. McMansions go up. Some of them are beautiful, but they are inflating all home prices and reducing the affordable housing stock. From an investment perspective, I'm thrilled. I've got a lot of value in my home, but it actually makes me sad because a young Kim Worthland could never afford to live in the neighborhood than an older Kim Worthland does. We can do better by working together to take the steps needed to support
Time. We will now hear from Kathy Rich, followed by Kelly McAleer, and then Heidi Ingham. They're all here in person.
My name is Kathy Rich. I purchased my grandparents' home 34 years ago on Laird Avenue. This home has been in our family for almost 80 years and spans over 5 generations. Today I will be talking about love of place and sense of place. Thank you for letting me tell you why I would like Laird Avenue to become a local historic district. It is my home, my neighborhood. It is something important that I belong to. It is my history and my sense of place. Historic neighborhoods and buildings throughout the city are landmarks of our identity and our connections to the past. They are the story of our shared history and the importance of holding on to our sense of place. If we lose these historic places in our city, we are in danger of just becoming any place. Rapid growth is swallowing many parts of the city because of the need for housing, but rarity is also a need to be protected. We understand the pressure the city is under to provide housing for our growing populations. Our community can help in those efforts and still remain intact. In the rush to provide housing, we shouldn't let developers take away our historical connections to the past. The preservation of historic places in all parts of our city preserves not just buildings, but will preserve culture and legacy. And that in turn will help the well-being of our city. Losing historic homes can break apart of a community and create a loss of sense of place, of love of place, and our sense of well-being. Thank you.
We will now hear from Kelly McAleer and then Heidi Ingham, followed by Mike Young. They are here in person.
Good evening. My name is Kelly McAleer, and I live at 1347 Laird Avenue and have been in this home for 9 years. I'm also a proud 6th-generation Utahn, where many of my ancestors actually have lived in Salt Lake over the generations. I think that local historic districts are not only an asset for our community, but also contributes to the goals of the city. Solving the housing crisis that we are all experiencing will take a mix of approaches, including preservation of historic homes. Keeping and using historical homes are one of the most environmentally sound things that a community can do. New construction, especially when it involves demolition, is much more harmful to the environment than keeping an existing home. The greenest home is one that is already built. Tear down houses, go to the landfill, and create an environmental hazard. It is also incredibly wasteful. Our smaller historical homes can help keep housing affordable. Our street on Laird Avenue has duplexes, rental apartments, rental houses, and ADUs. We have homeowners who want and or need ADUs because they are multi-generational families living there, along with families that want to age in place that need larger space. Laird Heights is also a walkable neighborhood, and that helps reduce the use of cars and the population, the pollution that we all worry about. We have many historical neighborhoods in our city, and I think that these neighborhoods can teach us about adaptation, conservation, and resilience, and they have proven their stability over time.
Next is Heidi Ingham, followed by Mike Young.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. I believe that was the last comment that we had on this item. Is there anybody else? Oh, no. Looks like we had one more.
Yeah, there should be Mike Young or Heidi Ingham.
Mike Young?
Yeah, I'm Mike Young. I meant to write B13.
Oh. Okay, not B9. You want to speak to B13? Okay, great. We'll put you on the list for B13. Anybody else that wants to speak to this hearing item, which is B9, the Yellcrest Laird Historic District? Okay, seeing none, I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council close the public hearing and adopt the ordinance.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Councilmember Dugan to close the public hearing and adopt the ordinance. A second from Councilmember Young. Is there any discussion to this? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and proceed to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you. We will move on now to item B10, which is an ordinance for rezone and a master plan amendment at 803, 805, 807, and 815 West Simondi Avenue, and 802, 806, 810, and 814 West 300 North. Before we take comments on this, I'll turn the time over to Brian Fulmer from council staff to give us a short introduction. Thank
This
you,
is
Brian.
a proposal from NeighborWorks Salt Lake to amend the zoning map for the properties you mentioned from their current R1 7000 or single-family residential zoning to RMF 30 or low-density multifamily residential. The proposal would also amend the Northwest Community Master Plan future land use designations from low-density residential to medium-density residential. The petitioner's stated objective is to develop low-density, affordable for-sale townhomes on the subject parcels, though no development proposal has been submitted. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Brian. We'll move to our public comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have Dan Stewart here in person, followed by Dustin Campbell, also here in person.
Hi, Dan Stewart. I live on Simondi Avenue next to the development. My house was built in 1905, and I've lived there for 20 years. Zoning changes affect communities, especially from single-family residential. I think Salt Lake City should take some time and consideration for a few actual studies, and developers should have to present plans to convey future development. Currently, there aren't any RMF 30 zones on Simondi or in sight. Development in this residential neighborhood isn't outward growth, it's more like leapfrogging. Also, there are future street projects on 3rd and 6th North that will be happening at the same time. The Department of Transportation was required to do impact studies, but the city doesn't need to for zoning amendments. I found it ironic that I was invited to attend a planning and zoning hearing, yet the developer didn't have to present plans, a reason for a zoning change, a concept of aesthetics, or a commitment statement that the development would be visually pleasing or fit in the community. I'm being asked for my input for the development next door when none of us have any idea what the development will be even after the planning and zoning hearing. The only information we have received are hearing invitations and quick zoning change that has gotten instant approval without any basis, without in-depth studies so far. Also, the public notice states greater flexibility for the developer with a zoning change. To be clear, a zoning change means flat roofs and more occupancy. In other words, greater impact on current residents. These types of discussions don't seem pertinent so far to the city, which is quite frankly inconsiderate to residents. I'm not aware of street or parking studies, neighborhood surveys, how the development would impact the values of surrounding homes, or any other type of impact studies for that matter, or even what the buildings would look like. In addition, the letter states the city may approve the ordinance the night of the public hearing. Seriously, get your on-the-spot zoning here. At the very least, I'm here on public record.
Time.
You can submit the rest of your written comments to. Okay, thank you.
Next, we have Dustin Campbell, also here in person.
Hello, I'm Dustin. I'm a resident of Simondi Avenue. I live across the street from the development that's going. I'm actually here with my neighbor as well. And so we're both concerned about the community. We want it to be a cohesive design that impacts and influences the community in a positive way, and that promotes safety, more value for houses and all that. And so my hope is to live in the community like that, where those considerations are put into mind and it's not necessarily in the interest of the developer that's putting them in. And so there's a lot of families, there's a lot of kids in the area. We would love to see elements incorporated into that promote green space, places to play, safety. Again, I've had people wandering from North Temple, climbing up onto my roof, attempting the jump, cops show up. Things like that can happen in the area. And so if we use this project as an opportunity to promote elements that will improve the safety, improve the value, and I would really request that a design be submitted prior to approving the zoning rechange, because it's a big project. We got 8 properties there in that area, moving from single family to low density to medium density. That's a huge change. And so let's use the opportunity to build up the community, make it better, make it safer, incorporate, take your time, think through it. That's what I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we have nobody else signed up for this item.
All right, anybody else here that wishes to speak to item B10?
Mr.
If not, then I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that the council close the public hearing and adopt the ordinance.
Is there a second? Okay, is there an alternate motion?
Chair, I move that the council close the public hearing and defer action to a future council meeting.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Young and a second from Councilmember Dugan. Is there any discussion to this?
I would like to add a few thoughts.
Yes, go ahead.
The applicant in this case is not just a developer. We're talking about NeighborWorks, an organization that has kept this actual neighborhood being a neighborhood as it is today. It's an organization with a track record for affordable housing, for home ownership, to have invested their time and effort on the west side, and especially on this street on 800 West. So I just wanted to put that on the record, that this is a very trusted organization. I do hear the neighbors' concern about not seeing the plans. This is a normal process though, but the council and the community will have an opportunity to see what comes from this, and we will have an opportunity to shape this site.
Thank you, Councilmember Pui. Any other discussion to this motion? Councilmember Petro.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little torn on it as well, especially because this will be a shared equity model that will be an affordable home ownership option. So the opportunity to get this project moving is tempting, but I also don't want to disenfranchise the voice of the neighbors. The voices there are the ones that are causing me, based on the merits of the partner in the project, I want to go ahead, but if the neighbors need a little more time to ask questions and get assurances, I want to provide that. So I think I'm leaning towards let's take our time and be responsive to the neighbors who showed up in an offline way to make sure that they are comfortable with the work that we're doing and that the developer will do.
Thank you. That's my feeling as well. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and proceed to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. And any abstentions? Okay, that passes unanimously. We will now move on to item B11. Item B11 is an ordinance changing or amending zoning terms and definitions. I will turn the time to Brian Fulmer from council staff to give a short introduction.
This is a proposal from the administration to amend a section of the city's zoning ordinance to provide clarity and consistency. Under the proposal, Chapter 21A.60, which is a lengthy and seldom used list of terms, would be removed. A list of definitions is being updated to provide consistency and eliminate unused definitions. No zoning regulations or standards would be changed under the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Is there anyone here to speak to this item?
We have nobody registered here for this item, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Is there anybody that would like to speak to item B11, zoning terms and definitions amendments? Okay, seeing none, we will go ahead and look for a motion.
Chair, I move that we close the public hearing and adopt the ordinance.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilmember Petro, a second from Councilmember Dugan. Is there any discussion to this item? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and call a vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. Any abstentions? That passes unanimously. That brings us to our next public hearing item, which is B12. This is a resolution authorizing the sale, or the Salt Lake County Housing Authority to operate within Salt Lake City for the deeply affordable housing development known as 44 North Apartments. Before we take public comments, I'll turn the time over to Ben Ludke from council staff to give us a short introduction. Thank you, Ben.
The County Housing Authority is seeking the council's approval to operate within city limits for a specific development and ongoing assistance for rent payments by the tenants who would live there. The development would be located at 44 North, 1000 West. It would be a permanent supportive housing facility with on-site services for those tenants. The tenants would be referred through First Step House, a partner in the development. There's a project summary in today's meeting packet. This approval and this public hearing are both required by HUD regulations. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and open the public comments for this item. Itzhak?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have Janet Kimball here to speak in person, followed by Sean McMillan.
All right.
For the sake of brevity, we just decided to come up together. First of all, we just wanted to thank the council on behalf of the Housing Authority of the County of Salt Lake and First Step House.
Yes, Sean McMillan, Executive Director of First Step House. We want to thank staff as well as council for their time and attention to this. We had the opportunity to meet with members of the neighborhood last night. I think it was a very productive conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments regarding item B12? All right.
We have nobody else signed up.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council close the public hearing and refer the item to a future date for action.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Dugan, a second from Councilmember Pui. Is there any discussion to this? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Abstentions? All right. Seeing none, that passes unanimously. We are now at item C1, potential action items.
Mr. Chair.
No, we're not. We're on item B13. I'm sorry. B13 it is. B13 is fiscal year 2024-2025 funding allocations for a one-year action plan for community development block grants and other federal grants. Before we take public comment on this, I'll turn the time over to Ben Ludke again, policy analyst, to give us a short introduction. Thanks, Ben.
The annual grants the city receives from the Housing and Urban Development Department are one of the largest ongoing funding sources from the federal government. The grants address a variety of community needs targeted at underserved and vulnerable populations. This year, the applications requested funding that is more than twice the available funds. $18 million was requested, but $8.5 million is available. This year, there is also $1.5 million of one-time federal pandemic-related funding available for rent assistance. The funding recommendations from the Resident Advisory Board and the mayor are available in today's meeting packet. This is shown as attachment 2, which is the funding log. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right, we have quite a few people signed up to speak. So, Isak, if you'll call the first few speakers.
Yes, we have Karen Crow, followed by Damon Talbot, followed by Danny Knives. They're here in person.
All right, go ahead.
Hi there, good evening. I'd like to thank the City Council for allowing me a chance to speak, and thank you for the recommended allocation of funds for Salt Lake Valley Habitat for Humanity, and ultimately for the residents on the west side of Salt Lake City. I'm here today to talk to you and thank you for the recommendation for our affordable home ownership program and our new home building program. We have proposed to spend the allocated funds to build affordable homes on the west side of Salt Lake City. Habitat for Humanity serves families making between 30 and 60% of the area median income. We serve hardworking, low-income families, and we're so grateful that you have given us the opportunity that we can serve our West Side residents. This funding allows for us to continue to serve the residents of the West Side and encourage home ownership opportunities so that they can begin to build intergenerational wealth. And we're so grateful for the opportunity to partner with Salt Lake City and look forward to our continued partnership. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Damon Talbot, followed by Danny Knives, and then Brian Diggs, all here in person.
Good evening, Council. My name is Damon Talbot, and I am a resident in the Ballpark neighborhood. Tonight, I'm here to express my support for and urge the approval of the funding that you're discussing this evening. Particularly, I'd like to speak about Alliance House. It's a place that has really shaped my life. I serve there as a member and on its board of directors, and I've been deeply involved in its 1805 capital campaign to rebuild our apartments. I want to extend my gratitude to the city for its unwavering support and partnering with the Alliance House Clubhouse in many different ways, and especially now while we're working towards our affordable housing. Our members that live there live there for less than 30% of AMI. They are very deeply affordable units, but our program involves wraparound services through our Clubhouse program. In addition, I wanted to speak about my belief that the city partnering with organizations like ours and the others in this grant opportunity is essential for our city. It is really a key to keeping our city working by helping those programs that help our members of our city that are less fortunate. Finally, I just would like to thank Councilmember Mono, Councilmember Petro, and Mayor Mendenhall, who recently toured and visited with us at the clubhouse. And I'd invite the rest of the council to please come out and see what our amazing program is doing. And I really, again, just urge you to fund all of these amazing programs. Thank you.
Next, we have Danny Knives, followed by Brian Diggs, and then Jessica Tanner.
Good evening, members of the City Council. My name is Danny Knives, and I'm the Division Director of Youth Homeless Services for Volunteers of America, Utah. I'll be speaking on behalf of the $30,000 ESG funds recommended for both the Youth Resource Center and the Geraldine E. King Women's Resource Center, and the $175,000 recommended for the Home Tiber grants at the Youth Resource Center. Firstly, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to the City Council for your unwavering support and commitment to addressing the challenges faced by homelessness in our community. In the past year, thanks to your support in temporarily increasing the YRC shelter beds from 30 to 50 for the winter months, many more youths had a warm place to sleep at night. Together, we've been able to provide not just shelter, but hope and opportunity to 367 youths facing homelessness. These are not just numbers, they are stories of resiliency, dreams, and the potential that we have helped to unlock. As we look to the future, we recognize the ongoing challenges that lie ahead and the continuous support needed. With this, I stand before you today to ask for your approval for the recommended fundings for Emergency Solutions Grant and Home Tiber grants. These critical funding sources will not only sustain but also enhance our efforts to provide safe housing, essential services, and lasting support to youth and women in our community to support them moving out of homelessness and back into housing. I want to specifically highlight the recommendations for the Home Tiber grant at the Youth Resource Center. Here at the YRC, we have been highly successful in providing housing services to youth and helping ensure they do not fall back into homelessness. A notable recent statistic demonstrating this success is that 94% of the youth who exited the Youth Resource Center on our rapid rehousing program in fiscal year 2020 to 2021 and exited our program successfully did not return to homelessness within 2 years and remain successfully housed. Our programs work and are effective in breaking the cycles of generational homelessness and stopping the flow of individuals entering our adult shelter systems. Approving these 3 grants means more than just allocating resources. It's reaffirming our city's commitment to compassion and
Next, we have Brian Diggs, followed by Jessica Tanner, and then Sam Ball, all here in person.
Hi, my name is Brian Diggs. I'm the Executive Director of Family Promise in Salt Lake City. I want to thank the city for recommending funding for 2 distinct programs for Family Promise. One of them is our traditional emergency shelter program. Since 1996, Family Promise has been welcoming unsheltered families into area buildings of faith or churches here in the Valley. And we've provided them with wraparound support using members from the community to offer them things like warm meals and homework help, sometimes a listening ear, and other resources that these community volunteers might have. I think part of the success of our program as well is that our families meet on a weekly basis with our case manager to set both short and long-term goals, all aimed at finding sustainable housing within 90 days. In short, we always tell our families that we welcome in. We are a program first, and a part of our program is that shelter that we provide, but those wraparound services. In fiscal year 2022 to 2023, we celebrated an 85% success rate in helping families, walking along families to find that sustainable housing. We also have a graduate services program that's a part of that program. We reach out to our families for up to 2 years to make sure that they remain housed, offering them financial help and also other resources. The second funding source that's been recommended for Family Promise is prevention and rapid rehousing. One of the things that we've noticed at Family Promise Salt Lake and other family homeless resource centers like the Road Home is that most of us are burdened with families and we're running out of shelter. And one of the things that has been proven over and over again is that providing families with resources like prevention from eviction, rapid rehousing is one of the ways to ease the burden in our homeless resource centers and also to provide a more stable environment for the kids in those families. So on behalf of the staff at Family Promise Salt Lake, the board of directors, myself as the executive director, thank you so much for this recommended funding.
Next, we will hear from Jessica Tanner, followed by Sam Ball, and then Eric McGill.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Tanner with First Step House. At First Step House, we're grateful to have been recommended for funding for several of our supportive services as part of First Step House's treatment and housing continuum. I'd like to speak to those. First, our Resource Center program involves a team at a homeless resource center operated by the Road Home. This has been a strong partnership and has made both of our organizations more effective in our work. The Road Home can refer guests to our team who need addiction and mental health treatment, and we can build relationships and connect each person with the right treatment, whether it's with First Step House or another community organization. The second that's been recommended for funding is our peer support specialist program, where peer support staff use their lived experience to support clients in recovery. They help clients orient to residential treatment and then connect with the recovery community so they have support when they leave treatment. Clients can also participate in our employment preparation and placement program, which uses an evidence-based approach to help clients work toward a meaningful career. Purposeful work and stable income help clients in recovery stay sober and maintain their housing after treatment. Finally, we've been recommended to receive CDBG hard cost funding for building improvements. Maintaining safe and functioning buildings for our residents is what allows us to provide treatment, housing, and supportive services. Salt Lake City's partnership in each of these areas is vital and has long-lasting impact on First Step House clients and the community. So thank you again for this recommendation for funding.
Next, we'll hear from Sam Ball, followed by Eric McGill, and then Mary T. Calhoun.
I'm Sam Ball from Assist Community Design Center. With Salt Lake City's generous support over many years, Assist has been strengthening neighborhoods and helping residents remain in their homes since 1969. Through our emergency home repair, accessibility design, assistance, and community design programs. Through the strategic use of CDBG funds, our organization provides small construction grants and project coordination to perform critical repairs and accessibility retrofits for households with significant financial need. Over the last two decades, these interventions represent roughly $6.5 million of investment in supporting the physical and social fabric of our communities within Salt Lake City. In the last 2 decades, we have completed over 6,000 jobs in Salt Lake City, benefiting over 1,800 unique households. Our organization is exceptionally grateful for the funding that we receive from Salt Lake City and the continued support that the City Council continues to provide to our organization. Often our residents are the most vulnerable within Salt Lake City, averaging 30% AMI for a majority of our clients. Majority of them are disabled or seniors on a fixed income. And we see recently our clients, due to the current affordable housing crisis, coupled with increased costs of construction, we see that a lot of these residents have no other place to go, and the most affordable housing is often their current residence that they're living in. We believe our services play a critical role in stabilizing the existing affordable housing stock within the city and strengthening the city's neighborhoods. We are grateful to Salt Lake City's continued support of Assist, our mission, and our work. We look forward to serving more city residents this year with the funding that's being allocated. Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Eric McGill, followed by Mary Calhoun, and then Janice Kimball. All here in person.
That was the confusion then. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, so Eric, right, already spoke, and he wanted to speak on the first item, so we can skip to the next commenter.
Okay, so that would be Mary Calhoun, also there in person.
Yes.
And after her will be Janice Kimball.
Thank you. So I'm Mary T. Calhoun with First Step House, and I appreciate having the opportunity to speak with you about our applications for home and home ARP funding. Home and home ARP funds will be used for very low income adults, including seniors and veterans at risk of homelessness. All have a serious chronic behavioral health condition. Many have been incarcerated or homeless before they come to us. Under the HOME program, we are so grateful to have been recommended for GAP funding for our recovery housing program. This funding will allow us to complete a renovation of a new recovery residence at 518 South, 600 East. We call it Trolley Lane. It creates 17 new units of sober transitional housing. And First Step House clients can live there after completing residential treatment. It gives them a sober, safe place to live while completing outpatient treatment and participating in case management. Under Home ARP, we have been recommended for tenant-based rental assistance, which is a new award for us. This will allow our case managers to provide rental assistance to up to 20 additional clients. The rental market is so expensive now that it's nearly impossible for someone who's just graduating a treatment program to afford the security deposit and the first month's rent. So short-term assistance gives clients that chance to get on their feet, to avoid going into debt, to stabilize in their employment, so that they can make a transition to permanent housing really soon after. We deeply appreciate the city's partnership. With your support, the Home and Home ARP funding will prevent homelessness. The beneficiaries will be people who are rebuilding their lives in treatment after being homeless or being incarcerated. So thank you so much for the recommendation.
Now we'll hear from Janice Kimball, followed by Brandon Vale, who will be online, and Trinity Silman, who is also online.
Janice Kimball with Housing Connect. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight regarding the funding for housing with people with AIDS. Housing Connect has provided housing to low-income individuals with HIV and AIDS for the last 20 years in partnership with Salt Lake City. We have been recommended for just over $522,000, and this is we're asking for $550,000, and when we know that there's a lot of demand and there's a lot of worthy projects. With the decrease in funding, what it means is that we would need to actually take housing assistance away from 7 households, and right now we're serving 57. I don't envy you your decision, but thank you for your consideration, and thank you so much for your ongoing support.
Okay, now we will hear from Brandon Vale, followed by Mike Young and Olivia Maron. Brandon, you can unmute.
Okay, perfect. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. My name is Brandon Vile. I am the grants manager with South Valley Services. And first and foremost, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak in front of you today, or I guess online, and for your recommendations for both of our CDBG projects, one for our shelter director and one for housing and rental assistance for domestic violence victims. So South Valley Services is a domestic violence shelter that has been helping the Salt Lake area and Utah in general since 1998. Our organization provides services through our shelter programs, education and prevention, our community resources, and a clinical department. Very multifaceted. Domestic violence in Utah is actually a very prevalent issue. Just wanted to speak on that for a little bit. So a third of Utah women will experience domestic violence at some point in their lifetime. Of those individuals that experience domestic violence, roughly 40% will become homeless at some point in their life. And since the year 2000, 42% of homicides in Utah have been domestic violence related. Again, just a very prevalent issue that requires a lot of help that we wouldn't be able to do without funders such as Salt Lake City. Again, just wanted to take the time to thank you guys for your funding recommendations and the continued support that you've shown our organization over the years. It really makes a big difference in the lives of the people that we help.
Now we will hear from Mike Young, followed by Olivia Maron, and they are both there in person.
Good evening, Council, Chair, members of the Council, City staff. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Mike Young. I'm here for B13, not B9. That's what I get for having terrible handwriting. Thank you for providing this opportunity again. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Road Home. I serve as our Division Director of Singles Crisis Services, responsible for most of our shelter programs across Salt Lake County. Salt Lake City has provided operating support to our organization and the people we serve for a number of years, and we are incredibly grateful of the continued support provided by this committee, the various mayors we've worked with over the years, and the staff from a variety of Salt Lake City teams. Over the last fiscal year, we were able to serve 9 individuals in our Salt Lake City ESG-funded rapid rehousing program. We were able to support 441 households into housing with the staff funded, the programming funded through Salt Lake City CDBG. And another 300 individuals were engaged with housing conversations and navigation support. And we were able to serve over 1,000 individuals in the Gail Miller Resource Center through CDBG funding as well. We hope to continue these prevention, housing, and shelter efforts in the upcoming year and appreciate the recommendation to support these programs. I'd like to thank the City Council, the Mayor, the CDCIP Board, the Housing Trust Fund Board, and the staff of Housing Stability for the continued support of the work we do within the community to end homelessness. We look forward to continuing to partner on all of these programs. Thank you.
Now we will hear from Olivia Marron.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you again. I'm here to say that it would be nice to continue thanking you guys for these types of things. However, it's like when over $3 million a year being sent to Israel, it's kind of hard to.
That comment is out of order. This is a time that is defined by statute for us to only talk about the items on the agenda.
No, I'm definitely going to talk about the item on the agenda. I'm just here to say that we wouldn't even have to ask for these grants if our tax dollars were actually being put back into our community rather than being sent to bomb children. So ceasefire now and divest from Israel.
Mr. Chair, we don't have anybody else here for that item.
Sorry, what did you say, Isaac?
Oh, I was just saying that was the last person here for that item.
Okay, thank you. I'll just do a quick reminder about the rules. If you would please not clap and respond to the individual commenters so that we can move through the meeting efficiently and so that everybody feels comfortable sharing their opinion. Let's go to
Mr. Chair.
The next item. Yes.
I move that the council close the public hearing and refer the item to a future date for action.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion from Councilmember Dugan, a second from Councilmember Pui. Any discussion to this?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I would like to just thank the many organizations that are doing so incredible work in our city to house people, to help our neighbors. It is incredible, the amount of work that many of these organizations do day in, day out. We are very thankful for being able to be a tool in the solution of homelessness, housing. I am humbled to learn more and more about these programs and the services provided. Every year we get the chance to go through this process, so I'm very thankful about this opportunity. And this is the time of the year when we get to decide about this allocation from CDBG. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we had a motion from Councilmember Dugan, second from Councilmember Pui. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed say nay. All right, and any abstentions? Okay, that passes unanimously. Let's move to action item C1. This is a resolution regarding the University of Utah Baseball Stadium and the public benefits analysis.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council adopt a resolution approving the conclusions of the public benefit analysis and find the lease fee waiver appropriate, and authorizes the administration to enter into a ground lease with the university on the terms set forth in the term sheet. And I just want to make a note on the motion there that the term sheet will direct the university to work with the BLM to ensure that their work complies with the BLM directive.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to add for the public and for those listening, I had lots of new comments come in, but we've had a public hearing process where we heard concerns from our constituency. I just want to add that we are conserving the Sunnyside Park for future generations. We are seeing investment in partnership with the University of Utah, and this is a good step for public benefit.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I know we don't have a second yet. Yeah, I know.
Apologies, I jumped in.
That's okay. We have a motion from Councilmember Dugan. Did anyone want to second that?
Second, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Lopez Chavez. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, thank you. Well, I just wanted to reiterate again to the public that do have concerns, Councilmember Dugan, as well as other University of Utah beneficiaries and public have given good comment to make sure that we steward in and usher this investment. It's exciting to see this. It's not often that we would see this type of investment at a park, like at a regional park like Sunnyside Park. So I'm excited as somebody that uses it, that plays football at the park, and to see this extended to the different communities that it'll serve.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, we'll go ahead and proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, that passes unanimously. Yes.
I just, moment of personal privilege.
Yes, go ahead, Councilmember Dugan.
We appreciate that. And I want to thank the all who engaged, who examined and made comments on this project. We heard across the board from across the city and the community. And this dialogue, I believe, will make Sunnyside better, and it will revitalize the park. The park needs attention, it needs improvements, and the residents have been asking for some time for these improvements, and I think this is the time to make this happen. So I appreciate the engagement across the board, and I look forward to the next step, which is engaging the community on seeing what that vision looks like. So thank you very much from across the board on this effort.
Okay. Any other items? Okay. And we'll move to item C3, which is landscaping and buffers chapter text amendment. I'll look for a motion. Nope, no, it's not. I'm sorry.
C2.
I'm trying to, okay. C2 is an ordinance for community benefit and tenant displacement amendments. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council adopt the ordinance amending the text of titles 18 and 21A and enacting Title 19 of the Salt Lake City Code, known as the Community Benefit and Tenant Displacement Amendments, including the following addition. In the section on community benefit requirements, the proposed public benefit titled Preserving Historic Structures is changed to Preserving Historic Structures Not Otherwise Protected.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion from Councilmember Dugan, a second from Councilmember Young. Is there any discussion to this? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. And any abstentions? Seeing none, that passes unanimously. All right, now we are at item C3. Yes, go ahead.
Chair.
Look for a motion.
I move that the council adopt the ordinance amending the various sections of Title 21A of the Salt Lake City Code pertaining to the landscape and buffer chapter, with the understanding that enforcement on provisions related to artificial turf installed prior to the effective date of this ordinance will be delayed for 18 months to give residents an opportunity to come into compliance. I further move that the administration and council set efforts to communicate the clarification to the code as well as pending enforcement to any constituents that has installed artificial turf.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Councilmember Dugan, a second from Councilmember Lopez Chavez. Any discussion to this? I'll just say this has been a priority of mine for 2 years, and I can't believe that it took over 2 years to get to this point. That's why I was so excited to move to this item. But thanks for everybody's hard work on this. I really appreciate it, and I do think it will will help contribute a lot to water conservation in Salt Lake City. So, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. And any abstentions? Okay, that passes unanimously. We are at item C4, which is a budget amendment ordinance for fiscal year 2023-2024. I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council adopt an ordinance amending the fiscal year 2024 final budget of Salt Lake City, including the employment staffing document, and amend the appointed pay plan only for items as shown on the motion sheet.
Second.
All right, I have a motion from Councilmember Dugan, a second from Councilmember Petro. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed
Aye.
say nay. And any abstentions? Okay, that passes unanimously. We are at, we're going to move around some of the sections of our agenda. So we'll return to section D in a moment, which is general comments. We will go to item E, which is new business. This item E1 is advise and consent for the Salt Lake City Chief Administrative Officer, Jill Love. I'll look for a motion.
I make a motion that we advise and consent on Jill Love's appointment as the Chief Admin Officer.
Approve the nomination of?
Yes, to approve a nomination of.
That's what I thought you meant.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, there is a motion from Councilmember Dugan, a second from Councilmember Young. Any discussion to this? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. And any abstentions? All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you. We are now at item E2, a resolution regarding public comment.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that the council suspend our current rules and adopt the resolution. I further move that the council direct our council staff to expand public comment options for the public to submit videos of the recorded comments.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilmember Pui. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion to this? Okay, so I'll just say that today we're updating our general public comment policy to preserve our ability to effectively conduct city business and maintain a safe and welcoming public forum for all constituents. Going forward, we will allot 1 hour for public comments on general topics not otherwise scheduled on our hearing agenda. So as you saw from earlier parts of our meeting, this won't apply to items that are already scheduled on the agenda. Those are the statutorily required public hearing items on land use or budget matters. Those will not be affected by this change. We arrived at this solution during a public discussion where we weighed very important policy goals that we are charged with as a council, including how we allocate resources amidst increasing demand for city services and ongoing population growth. That I'll note that with our city council meetings, they do cost money and they do cost taxpayer dollars. And that I personally have received multiple statements from constituents who have felt at our recent meetings that they have been felt unsafe to comment and that they object to the use of they don't want their public tax dollars going towards meetings that don't have an end. So anyone. All right, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and recess. Number one, we're going to reconvene the meeting now. Please do not damage the furniture or anything like that. If you continue to disrupt the meeting, we will clear the room and we will have no public comment tonight. All right, if you would please come and sit down. All right. We will go ahead and ask security to help clear the room so that we can continue the meeting now. Thank you.
Do we need to leave?
Okay, we'll go ahead and take a recess until the meeting is cleared, and there will be no public comment for tonight. Okay, thank you. I have a motion and a second. I guess I'll just say, sorry, one second. Just for the public record and anyone listening online, that anyone available that was anyone who was not able to address the council for general public comment tonight that was waiting to speak to us, you can submit your written comments in person, online, via email or phone. We have a 24-hour comment line, and all of those comments will be shared with the council, or you can contact us individually and access our contact information at slccouncil.com. That was the only statement I want to make. Anyone else want to speak to the motion? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and proceed to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you, Ollie. Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, that passes unanimously. We will move to item F on the agenda, which is unfinished business. Item F1 is an ordinance creating a division of planning and design in the Public Lands Department. Look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 2.08.130 of the Salt Lake City Code to add a new planning and design division and update the functions listed for the Department of Public Lands.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilmember Dugan, a second from Councilmember Young. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. And any abstentions? None. Okay, passes unanimously. We're on item F2, resolution authorizing transfer of foreign trade zone authority. I'll look for a motion.
Chair, I move that the council adopt the resolution authorizing the city to consent to the transfer of foreign trade zone authority to World Trade Center, Utah.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Councilmember Lopez Chavez, a second from Councilmember Dugan. Any discussion to this? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thanks. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes unanimously. We're now at the consent portion of our agenda. I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Any second?
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Dugan, a second from Councilmember Young. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none?
Aye.
Thank you. And any abstentions? None. That passes unanimously. That concludes our meeting. We'll stand adjourned.